Hot and cold ice baths, do they work?
I'm a massive fan of contrast therapies where you go hot and then into cold, and what that does is if you've got a lot of lactic, say you're a 400 metre runner, you're filled with lactic after a session, you get into the hot, into the cold. When you're in the hot, the blood vessels dilate. When you get in the cold, they shrink and pushes the waste products through. That's the theory. There's a lot of conjecture about whether that is fact or fiction, but I think it doesn't do the athlete any harm. In fact, the athletes will tell you, and football players that I've worked with will tell you, that this is actually helping me. I feel fantastic after it. So I'll continue doing that. Whether cold water immersions are going to help performance in the long term, we'll have to wait for more evidence. But it's interesting, you go to the AIS and they've literally spent millions of dollars putting in hydrotherapy sort of facilities, and you go around all these developments now, multi-million-dollar developments going in for AFL clubs across the country, undoubtedly a lot of the rugby league clubs as well, where a lot of focus is on hydrotherapy and this hot-cold approach. I'm a big fan of it and have been for a long time. Yeah,
it seems to be, well, a lot of people say that the beach is God's water. I mean, does it have healing effects that we don't know about?
Oh, look, I think it has got some sort of properties. I think you've got people moving is one. I think the best form of rehabilitation is through movement, whatever your injury may be. And if that injury is just incidental soreness after a game of footy or a run or whatever, movement's your best form of rehabilitation. When you get in the water and you're moving around and the water's moving, it's giving a form of, it's not giving weightlessness as such to the muscle, but it's actually lifting a load off the muscle and it's massaging the muscle through its movement. You're walking on an uneven surface, so you know there's more movement going on. I think that's where the healing property is coming from. I don't think there's any medicinal purpose in the water per se, but I think a lot of people probably have to say it works because they're out there in the middle of June here in Melbourne freezing their butts off, so it's got to be doing something, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, a lot of people say the ocean water heals hangovers and injuries.
Well, again, a bit lateral, left of centre, I can't help myself, but if you look at Indigenous populations around the world, you know, whether it be our own Australian Aboriginals, Torres Strait Islanders, or whether you go further afield to the Eskimos and the Inuits and so on, that those living by the sea, if there was a cut or an abrasion, they'd quite often make poultices out of the seaweed, and it's probably the iodine content of the seaweed that was helping with healing. If you've got a cut, it appears that if you're getting in the surf that does heal up. Whether that's just what we think or whatever happens, it probably doesn't matter. I always take the approach that if it's not doing any harm and it might be doing you some good, well then you should do it.